My vengeance ends now.
Alright, Kratos coming back at you with the fourth part, my starting Smite the Kratos way. In this one, we're going to go through the jungle practice mode a little bit, kind of show you what that's like. It's kind of a nice little feature that Smite has. Paragon could have really used something like this. I'm also going to go through 5 gods, 1 god for each class. These aren't going to be like the easiest gods or the best gods to master, but they're all pretty good gods, and they're ones that kind of spoke to me. And it's sort of a way to show you guys how to pick gods for you to play, especially to start out with. The first one we're going to pick is Thanatos. He's an assassin, so he'll usually be using the jungle role. I like this one and this particular skin, of course, because it kind of looks like the final boss of a certain Final Fantasy game. But let's go into his abilities first. His passive ability shows that all of his abilities use a little bit of HP as well as MP to do, but it will also give you a little bit of cooldown, which is kind of cool. But a lot of his Death Scythe ability will actually heal too, so you go ahead and spam your abilities. You don't really have to worry too much about this. Your first ability you're going to do is Death Scythe. It's kind of a giant throwing scythe. It heals quite a bit and does a lot of early damage. Thanatos is a very early damage god. In fact, you probably want to put as many points of that as you can, maybe even before you get your second ability. Now, the second ability is a buff, but your third ability is probably going to be the one that you're going to put your second point into, because it's good for clear but also silences. But once you get that point into that third ability, Soul Reap, you probably won't have to put another point until after your ultimate. Like I said, the second one is a buff. It's nice. It basically, whenever your opponent's wounded, your movement speed will increase. You'll also get quite a bit of penetration, which we'll go into when we go to the damage build, that we won't have to put as much penetration in. The ultimate, which is Hovering Death, basically you fly above the map, and anybody within a certain percentage of health you can execute immediately, and that's anybody in the circle as you fly down. We'll show the abilities later in the jungle practice, but you will want to put some points into your ultimate because it increases that threshold. Although I definitely recommend doing your first ability first, then ultimate, and then your second ability, and then lastly your third ability. That's the priorities. Next, we're going to get into builds, and these are nifty little builders in the god section, so you can actually sort of use these in your game if you need to. And also, when you do the build, which is coming up next, you can actually use it as your custom, so that way you don't have to keep searching for items. Now, I usually will start off with Assassin's Blessing because you're going to be in jungle. Now, if you get really cheeky, you could technically do Magi's Blessing, I guess, if you were just wanting to troll, because it would do extra damage on your ability. That Death Scythe would be more devastating. Probably Talaria Boots as a jungler. A lot of them are using Talaria Boots, but if you just want the attack, you can do this one. Now, you're going to want to probably build cooldown on Thanatos because his abilities are pretty low anyways. Hider's Limit's a perfect one because it gives extra damage on basic attack after using an ability and also has cooldown. Jotun's Wrath has 20% cooldown. Now, there's a good combo with Jotun's that I'll show you here in a second. Transcendence just recently got cooldown and will give you some more mana and buff. Now that combo is with this one, Breastplate of Valor. It also has 20% cooldown reduction. So if you want to put a little defense on it, you can combo Jotun's Wrath and Breastplate, and boom, you got your 40%, which is the cap. Stone King Sword is great assassin. Brawlers, this is sort of a sort of possible items you can use. Brawlers is an anti-heal. Rage is something, if you're going to use, you'll probably want to do a little early because you have to stack 5 times to get it. Kin's Size is a good anti-tank. Basically, it shreds It does more damage percentage-wise based on health. The Deathbringer is still probably the main crit item for now, although they just put nerfs to buffs to the other ones. And then Wind Demon's good for also crit and speed. So I would usually just do 1 crit, probably the last item, Deathbringer, but you could do 2 crit. I wouldn't recommend 3 crit unless you're just trolling or maybe playing arena. Okay, so next on we'll go into the jungle practice, and I'll give you a little tutorial on what's going on in the jungle practice. Yes, and the relics, you're going to probably use Aegis and Beads. And I think the first 3 gods you're going to use Aegis and Beads for the most part, unless I say otherwise. Okay, these are the different colors. One of them will, the red one will level you down, the other one will level you up. One changes your enemies into allies, and then the other one will actually reset your cooldown, so you can practice with your ultimates and all your relics and stuff. This is the laning lane. It has the minions, so you can practice your laning minions. These are 2 Odin bots. They won't move. They'll show damage, but they won't take damage. But I do believe they have some protections. And then also there's a Ra at the end that will fight with you. The other ones are basically all the different jungle buffs, including the Gold Fury and the Fire Giant. Of course, they're the old Gold Fury and Fire Giant. They have it and updated their visuals. So this is a great place to practice your build, practice stacking, practice laning, practice with gods, and practicing what you want to level up first. So like I said, the first ability you're going to always go with is your Scythe, and it's a pretty good range. And of course I think here so you pop your 2, which is the buff, you do your 3, which silences, especially your Ra's good, and then boom, your Scythe. It's a great combo, and I recommend putting basic attacks. This is the ultimate. If it's not an executable range, he will stun the enemy. So actually it's a pretty good initiative too. But yeah, your Hydra's Lament, make sure you put your basic attacks in between all your attacks. And you can kind of attack cancel if you can time it quite well. As I said, this will do your cooldown. I think here I'm going to show you what the execution will look like. I'm going to knock him down. I'll show you what, because his passive also mentions that it'll show you when he could be executed. That little skull icon, that means he can be executed. There we go. So this is a little scene. So you just did some basic attacks. This is from some arena. That side that did a ton of damage. Ymir kind of tried to block off this Chonga, but did not work. I did a Scythe, and then watch this. Boom. That was the triple. And then I basically followed this Anubis. He popped his Aegis. I waited for it to go, and missed the Scythe, but hit that. And that's the quadra kill. It's easy quadra kill. Now this is Giannis. He's a mage. He's got a two-hit combo that's crazy. But this one, if you master him, can be crazy helpful. His mechanics are off the charts. Now for this one, you're going to want to do his 2 first. It's kind of a weird, kind of wavy thing. When we get to jungle practice, you'll see it. Now the 2 combo is this one and then the portal above it. The portal is what it sounds like. You put it on a wall, you can portal through. You put it on the ground, it'll cause your enemy to fall. And that's what you do. You put the portal on the ground, they fall, and while they're doing that, you line up your unstable vortex. The third one you can start doing a little later. It's called Threshold. It's kind of like Gadget's old move from Paragon, where you just put a line and it speeds everything up. The Through Space and Time is kind of like a Goku Kamehameha, but instead of just a big beam, it'll actually put portals, and you can actually snipe from one base to the other all the way across the map. And his passive is you get extra bonus damage when you go through Threshold or a portal. So, but the portal, like I said, there's a lot of advanced mechanics. You can use it on your allies and won't take damage, but you can get them away from other people's abilities. You can portal into your fountain like on Arena, and you can also use it to get your other allies out of trouble. You can portal through walls and stuff, which is pretty cool. The Threshold you could probably level up second, just because there's not much point putting more points into your portal. So it'll give you more bonus speed and all that stuff, and then of course do your ultimate as much as you can. But get that unstable vortex as soon as you can, because it's a great clear and will basically almost one-shot any squishy. Build wise, this is probably going to be changing pretty soon, because we just had a patch notes and they have basically changed a lot of the early ones. This next one is sort of a basic mage build, but it's kind of been the cheeky one as well, at least to start off with. They call it kind of like the library build because you build like 3 out of the 4 books, and you're also triple stacking. You're using items that have to stack a lot. So, the first one, Mage's Blessing. I can't think of any other blessing that would go with this because you're going to want the ability. I'll do cooldown boots. Giannis also has, or Janice has, a lot of short cooldowns. Warlock Staff is your second stacking item if you consider it other than Magi's Blessing. Gives you health and power, and I think it stops at 100. Book of Thoth is also a stacking item and will give you a lot of power when you fully stack it. So those are sort of your triple stacking items right there. The next one is Book of Dead. It'll give you a shield, which is pretty cool. They did just nerf this, so we'll see what happens. The next one is the Spear, I believe, of Devastation. It has the penetration, but also has the cooldown. Like I said, you're going to want cooldown. And I like to finish off with like Chronos Pendant, because it has 20% cooldown. You'll be at max cooldown with your boots, the spear, and that. These are some extra ones. If you need a little defense, you can use the Helm. It's cheap, gives you defense. Obsidian Shard, and the next one, Ethereal Staff, for anti-tank. Obsidian Shard shreds percentage-wise based on protections, and the other one based on health, kind of like kin size. If you also want to use any, these are lifesteal items. You put Bancroft, and the next one's Typhon's Fang. Put those two together, and you'll have as much lifesteal as you're gonna ever want. And then the last one is the other book that you can use, which is called Soul Reaper, which will also give you quite a bit of physical attack, magical attack power. So you're going to be a burst mage. I mean, that's your job. You're going to try to pick a squishy and burst him down with your 2-hit combo. And then you can also use it to snipe and then also get people out of the way. So he's kind of a utility mage as well. Here is that wave I showed you about. For clearing waves, and also if you're trying to hit a moving target, a lot of times just try to line with the first one. It's going to be very hard. This is the third. Like I said, you get bonus damage for going through it. It also speeds you up. Now here's the combo. This is the portal down, and then aim and let go. Boom. That's a one shot. Of course, that raw has no items, so realize that. But this can be used as sort of a speed, and so like I said, boom, doesn't do any damage. This is the ultimate. Look how far away I am. And boom, it almost killed him in that one shot. But that's with a clear shot. You can also, if you have vision on your enemy, watch this. Boom, killed him. And like I said, it puts a portal everywhere. This is as far away as you can pretty much get. I'm going to go through here and here just to increase the damage. You can go through either one. And then I'm going to shoot from as far away. May take a little while. This is the memest of his moves, basically. This is meme territory right here. And just to finish him off. Like I said, these portals will keep on going through, and your allies can actually go through the portals. Now here's our hunter. This is Medusa. She's a very kind of an ability-based hunter, I think. Besides, I mean, her basic attacks do a ton of damage too, but she's got a bunch of good abilities that really make her good, and she's got a great team ultimate. For her abilities, one of her things about her passive is she doesn't have the movement penalties when she's side strafing, and only half the movement penalty when she's going backwards. Acid spray is the first one I do. It shoots a bit of acid and will actually splash damage to everybody behind them within a cone. It's a great clear mechanic, and I think I have some video footage to go with this where it shows an enemy who didn't really know that, and he actually got killed from it even though he was pretty far away from me. Lacerate is a great move. It's a dash, but it also will stun. Viper Shot basically gives you 3 shots with extra speed, and will also deal extra damage. Always do your Acid Spit first, your Lacerate second, because it probably deals the most damage other than that. Your Petrify is the ultimate, and what basically it sounds like. It's a big cone, and it'll turn people to stone within a certain percentage. Or should I say, that if the Petrify kills you, a statue is actually left behind in your place. And then you can actually kind of use that statue to spit your venom off of, and will even explode the statue, which is kind of a cool little move. But yeah, she's known for her clear with her acid spray, and her petrify is one of the better team fights, because you know, you get a bunch of, you get a big 5v5, and all of a sudden you just kind of come around the corner while you're hitting that ultimate, and boom, you hit, I mean, you can hit the whole enemy team fairly easily. So her build has basically been the same. It's actually kind of been increased this year because of the buff, but you'll probably want to go Assassin's Blessing. Again, she's got some damaging abilities. If you want to be troll, you can go with the Magi's. Definitely I would use the power boots. Transcendence. You might actually go Transcendence before your boots, because it's one of those ones where you have to stack, but it'll give you extra mana and extra power. And I have an issue with her mana sometimes, because I want to spam her abilities and it doesn't work. The big hunter build right now is basically Devourer's Gauntlet. You also want to try to get this early, stack it, gives you lifesteal, lots of lifesteal, lots of power. As soon as you get done with that, go into Aussie, gives you more lifesteal. The hunter build is probably going to change too, because most of the lifesteal and crit items have gotten nerfed or changed. Deathbringer, big crit chance, big crit damage. And usually I like to do Poison Star, because it has a little more attack speed on it, along with the crit. Some other things you could do, if you want more crit, you can build Rage earlier, but you'd be stacking, 3-4 items. That might be too much, and you need to get kills with Rage. And Wind Demon is also a good crit. Kinsize and Titan's Bane, those are the anti-tank. We did this before. One's based on protections, one's based on health. We can also go Executioner. That was sort of last year's anti-tank option. It still can work. If you're wanting to go defensive, which you usually don't, but if for some reason you need to, Breastplate of Valor is okay. It gives you some physical defense and gives you that cooldown reduction. Or you can go Spirit Robe, which is some instant magical and physical reductions. Also relics like the last two. You're going to want to go Aegis and Purification Beads. Because what you don't know is usually when you're playing squishy characters like mages and hunters and even assassins, you want to go Aegis and Purification almost all the time. And pretty much anytime you don't know what relics to build these two. Assassins, you might get away with a blink here and there, depending on the god and depending on who you're playing against. But we'll go into jungle practice with Medusa. Like I said, she moves pretty fast. You see when I hit that square, those 3 orbs came along, and then I just hit that X, and it literally, even though I only hit the one minion up front, it just splashed in a cone. So I like to hit square, which brings up, they stay up until you use them. And here's a good combo. You spray the venom, you lacerate, and then you pull back, and see those big red splotches, those are crit. This is the ultimate. Again, the Odin bots don't really work well to show it, but yeah, this is how quick. Yeah, there it is. You see the stone stays afterwards. Yeah, here's one I was telling you about. I'll hit the enemy didn't know that God came back and he stayed outside of my range, but the poison went all the way back through it and killed him. And I ended up getting a double kill off of that, and this was the end of the game for that. Bellona is the warrior. She's great. She's got lots of abilities, lots of physical protections, and blocks. She's one of the first warriors I really mastered. Her passive gives you, as long as you're basic attacking up to 5 times, it'll get you more protections, which is pretty cool. And some movement speed as well, which is good because she's a solo laner and she boxes. The first ability you're going to want to use is the Bludgeon. It's a circle attack with a slam. Every enemy god you hit will basically deal bonus damage to a god when you slam it down. Shield Bash is a great one. It gives you block stacks for every person hit. And Scourge will basically, as a line, it will increase your range a little bit for a little while, but also will heal you on every 3rd shot. Her ultimate is a jumping attack where she plants a flag. She'll stun a god in the inside if they're there, and then she gives basically all sorts of protections and buffs to all of her allies within that circle. You want to go Bludgeon first. After that, I'd say Scourge, because your Shield Bash, you're going to mainly use it as a short dash and to get the block stacks. Eagle's Rally is another one that you could get early, But if you want to, you can wait till late, because it's really the stun's what you want at the beginning, and it's in late game when you're doing team fights that it's useful. But anytime she uses an ability, her weapon changes. From a sword to a shield bash will change to a sword and shield. The bludgeon will change to a giant hammer. And the scourge will change into kind of a whip sword, kind of like I think Viper off of Soul Calibur. Now, when you're building solo, you're going to go pretty much damage. Start off with the Warrior's Blessing. If you really want, you could do something like Assassins or Mages if you really want to troll. Ninja Tabi, which is the movement speed one, is great for her because she's more of an ability. Mystical Mail is the first one I go to gives you physical protection, but also deals damage to people near you. I've actually killed somebody using just the damage off of that. Height of the Urchin, sort of the kind of go-to, but it's a stacking one, so you kind of need to go for it fairly early. If not, you'd probably be going for a Spirit Robe later on. After this, you kind of want to choose. If you're doing really well, you can go for an offensive item. But if you're still needing the defense and the health, you can go for the Stone of Gaia, which is the green item, and that'll give you your, this one. It'll give you your health. I like to at least put one offensive one, but I like to do something like the Frostbound Hammer, because it gives you some power, but it's really cool that it slows down your enemy. And so it really helps when they're boxing, and basically you can catch up, plus you get the movement speed from your passive for hitting basic attacks. And then the last one is the Nemean Line. It's kind of a staple right now because hunters are so strong. Basically it reflects damage. It's kind of like the Relic Thorns, but it's a constant one. Other defensive items, you could go Breastplate of Valor, of course, is defense and cooldown. That's sort of your go-to for if you just need physical. The next one's Pestilence. That's your go-to if you need magical protections only, and if there's a lot of healing on the other team. Your other ones, you could easily do Spirit Robe, which gives you both instant magical and physical. And then Mantle of Discord is sort of your anti-CC. Basically, whenever you get CC'd, and it is on a cooldown, but when you get CC'd, it sort of, I believe it stuns the people around you. So it's sort of a way, if someone tries to stun you, boom, you're kind of out of it. Now we're getting to where the relics are going to be kind of different. I usually like to use the Horrific Emblem, because it's good for team fights and slows people down. And then usually Thorns to go with the Nemean Lion. So this is the shield that you get from Haida Urchin once you fully stack it. Now I'm going to start off with the Bludgeon, because this is also good for clearing. And you can see it's easy to maneuver. You circle, and I can even turn around and hit the melee units. And then with the hammer, you get a major cleave attack. It's actually probably one of the better cleave attacks to start off with. And see, it goes back to a sword. Now this is the shield bash. It kind of looks weird because you're going to want to hit the first, and you can see above my life bar where there's a couple of stacks of the shield. Like I said, her weapon changes to the sword and the shield, and then back to sword. And it's pretty cool. You can actually combo them all into it. It's kind of nice and looks really cool. This is her ultimate. Boom, stun. And then bludgeon. I usually always follow my stun to bludgeon. Then you can do the guard to get it. And this is the line attack. And like I said, it has an increased range, and I think every third hit will heal. Yeah, see, I'm going to take some damage here. And then I'll shield bash to get the basic attacks to show you that the first couple ones didn't even hit me. And then boom. Yeah, Bologna is actually not a bad jungler. She's definitely not the best of the warrior class for jungling, but because of that whip attacks, you can kind of tank down jungle minions. This is the Horrific Emblem, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to show you what the thorns look like too. I'm going to go get hit by these ranged minions. See, it kind of just attacks back. But your ultimate's pretty cool because it could also jump over walls. You can actually surprise people. You see a god coming, and then you can just jump over them, and boom, you're in the back line, and then you're also giving everybody protections. All right, the last but not least, this is Sylvanas. Yes, I'm doing it because of the Bob Ross skin, but he's also a pretty good guardian. He's got a lot in this kit. Basically, he has his passive where whenever people attack him, there's a chance that they could be rooted, which means they're stuck. They're not stunned, but they're kind of stuck in place. But it can only happen 12 times. You're really not going to worry about that. The big thing is his attacks are actually AoEs. They're not just direct attack. This is the first one. This will root. an enemy god, it'll also plant a tree that gives you MP5 when you're sitting in it. You can have up to 3, which is cool. I usually plant one in my tower just so I can get the healing. The second one is this healing one. It actually heals all your gods around you in a circle, but also hurts the enemy gods. Usually you're going to want to level up the verdant growth first, and then the heal. This you'll want to level up once at some point in the beginning. This is basically a pull, kind of like Scorpion's spear. You just pull him towards you. You pull him towards you. There's a lot of nifty things. I think I'll show you in the jungle practice. Kind of a neat little thing you could do with this one. But put 1 point in it and leave it at that. Get your first one up, then your heal. Also get your ultimate up at least once. This one, it does some power, but you're doing it for the knock-up. And you can see really the knock-up, any of the durations doesn't change for it. So put a point in it. I would go ahead and level up all your other ones first. You may level up the ultimate before the Nature's Grasp, because it's really not neat. But that's what I'm saying when it has a lot of stuff. It has a heal. It has a root. It has a root in the passive. You do AoE damage with your basic attacks. It has a grasp, so you can pull someone into your tower and let your hunter take it over. It's great in late fights. I'll also show you something cool with the knock-up. I like to use the relic blink with it. There's a couple guardians that have a similar type of ultimate where you're going to want to blink into the middle of a fight and pull your ultimate, and basically from there try to see if your team can capitalize. And you want to try to do it when they don't have their purification beads up or something. But there's a lot of cool combos you can do with Sylvanas' ultimate. But yes, I also did it because I love the Bob Ross skin. Okay, we're going to go into jungle pretty quick, just to kind of show you. Sylvanas is actually pretty easy just to demonstrate. But yeah, items. This is a cookie cutter support build. Guardian's Blessing for sure. If you want to get really, really, really trolly, you can do Assassins and do some weird sort of build. But do that. Traveler Shoes support's doing a lot of Traveler Shoes right now, because so they can rotate and babysit the rest of their members. But you can also do cooldown boots as well. A lot of Guardians do well with cooldown reduction, because you're kind of a utility support. You're not a damage support. So, but one of the first things you want to build for support now is Gauntlet of Thebes, which is the big glove right here. It's a stacking item, but it gives you physical and magic protections, and it gives an aura to give everybody else magic protection. So you can kind of go right into Heart Ward's amulets, but also will give you some more magical protections. Some of these are auras. You can check out the items in the store. A lot of them are aura type items, but your mainly idea is to survive, to help your team. That's a support. A support is a selfless god. But yeah, after Heart Ward, Amulet, and some of these can be switched up depending on who you're fighting. If you're fighting a lot of magic, definitely do the magic first. You're doing a lot of physical. Sovereignty is a really, really good next one. It also has an aura to give more protections to your allies. And like I said, Sovereignty and Gauntlet of Thieves have kind of been around for a while. You can also use Pestilence instead of Heart Ward if you have a lot of healing on the other team. Perfectly fine. I mentioned Sovereignty before. It gives a decent aura to your team to help out in your team fights. And then of course the next item you'll probably notice is Heart of the Urchin. Again, stack early, and it's really great. Other than that, you can use Spirit Robe. I think Spirit Robe and Mandal Discord are on here as well as backups. The next one is a weird aura item where it actually increases the attack speed of your party. It actually started getting really popular towards the end of Season 4. I'm not exactly sure how it's doing in Season 5. The Guardians are in a weird place because the tank meta got so annoying last season that they've kind of almost buffed all the other classes in basically for a goal of taking down Guardians and tanks. The two crown options are good. One's just a cheap one if you had to go back to base early or something, just to either get your Chalice. And that's another thing with Guardian. At one point early game, get the Chalice Oracle. 300 gives you 2 wards. It's the one class you're going to want to practice warding with as much as possible. Although with Season 5 with a bigger map, you're going to want to do all of it. The one I just was on was a Talisman of Energy. It's an odd one. Read it. It gives you kind of buffs every time you stack up. I think it's 6 now. So you get rid of the enemy wave, and then you get basically an aura for movement speed, and power for your team. And then, yeah, the Mantle of Discord for anti-CC. Relics for Guardians. One of the first ones usually is Magic Shell, which basically gives you a shield. What not seen is Meditation, which I think I showed you like in one of the first tutorials that a lot of people don't get it. It can be useful, especially early. The early first relic for a Guardian. Your last one's almost always going to be Thorns, just like I showed Nemean Light in my item build. That's a good one to go into if you got a really basic attack hunter, especially one that's building a lot of crit. That's going to be sort of your anti-crit. But with Sylvanas, I also would recommend Blink, especially if things are going fairly well and you guys have a fairly coordinated team. Just tell everybody your ult is ready, ult incoming, Blink. And I'll show you kind of how the Blink will work coming up here in the jungle practice. So you can see that his basic attack is a big circle. And this is the Verdant Growth. It, like I said, it grows a little tree, and you'll kind of see a little circle come around it. That's where the MP is. But you can also use it to kind of deal damage, and like I said, it roots gods. And you can have up to 3. So, put one next to your tower, one in the middle of the lane, and maybe, one towards the jungle area or something like that. Yeah, like I said, you can always heal. But that's the heal. You see the little clouds, they'll go on your allies, and then they'll kind of show that. And this is the pull. Now, y'all probably do that to Raw a little earlier, and you'll see what... you'll see a little cool thing you can do. That's kind of a troll move. Like I said, that little light will change your enemies to allies. So this Raw down here is now green instead of red. And I'm just doing this to kind of show you what the heal looks like when it's actually healing your ally. It's called Happy Little Clouds. Like I said, it's a Bob Ross skin, so everything is with paint and the happy trees. And you can kind of see him on the back painting. You see his ultimate here, right here, I believe. Oh yeah, I gotta change the allies back to the enemies. Hold on. But here, boom. You see all the paint on the ground. Like I said, it just knocks everybody up. Like I said, it'll interrupt pretty much everybody. That's the cooldown. Here's the blink. So you just blink. You can blink through walls and everything. Boom, blink ultimate. So, that's pretty cool. But yeah, Sylvanas is, like I said, is a really good Guardian, especially to start out with, because it's really hard to get into the Guardian mindset of being selfless. Most people, you're always going to want to be doing damage and damage and damage and damage, but most Guardians are not going to do a whole lot of damage. And the ones that do are usually ones that you're not wanting to play all the time. So you just kind of need to get to the God, learn how to do his things. I said, this is what I'm talking about. See, look at me try to solo this guy. I'm a level 20, full item build. And I'm not doing much. But I'm doing this to show you a cool trick. Because you got to realize that when you're in base and you're in your fountain, if gods get into it, they're practically vaporized fairly easily. So you can pull them in. Fenrir can do it too. I'll show you guys Fenrir once. He's got an ultimate that he can move gods. So, but that's going to be it for today. I'll probably get another one up as quickly as I can. Kratos out.